And that's the thing I like about the playoffs. You know, like I kind of know what's going on with the NFL playoffs. I'm still confused about the college playoffs, but they've got to figure out the bye situation. You shouldn't have Boise having a bye in that situation.
And another thing about the NFL that I like is I think there was 4 teams that finished, 2-15, something like that.
3-14.
3-14.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of teams, 4-13, I guess, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, what are they going to do, flip a coin? No. The team that, well, say 4 of them's got the worst record, the one that played the easier schedule, they get the first pick.
Yeah.
So at least there's a format instead of committee saying, I've watched all of them play. Yeah. Let's give the first pick to New England, or let's give the first pick to this team.
Another Dooley Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Coach Spurrier will be in today, and also Robbie Andrew today. On Thursday, can't wait for this. Larry Kennedy's going to join us. Love Larry Kennedy, one of the great cornerbacks in Florida history, staying busy. He's actually going to join us from the road. He's going to pull over and do it. We've done that before. It usually works pretty well unless there's issues. And then, of course, Coach Spurrier will be back Monday, and then I'm pretty sure Sean Kelly's going to join us the following Thursday. We're trying to get all this worked out in advance, but we're going to have a good time with it, and we appreciate all of our great sponsors. We have a package available for a sponsor if you want to call me. We need one more. That's the way I'm putting it. And if we can do that, I don't have to worry about it. Anyway, let's get to one of our great sponsors, Randy Royal and the Royal Blue Starting 5. If you want to go over and get a boat, that is the place to go in Palatka. And anywhere up the St. Johns River, he's got that whole area covered. Royal Blue, your place for the boat. And let me tell you what, I want a boat bad. But you know what, I don't, it's like I want a boat, but I want one of those pontoon boats where you just tool up and down the river. I don't want to go too fast. You know, I'm fine. Just fish off of it, drink in it. It's beautiful. All right, let's get to our Royal Blues starting 5. Number 1 story, Florida will not be 17-0. They will not match what happened in the 2006 season. We know that now because Florida lost the game. Now, nobody thought they would be 17-0 when they got to 13-0 because the schedule is so difficult. But obviously that game was now I'm going to put this to you this way. Was it an aberration or an indication? Because was it just one of those games where they just maybe they didn't wake up in time? It was an 11 o'clock game. Maybe and they gave up all those threes. The one kid, Brea, Kobe Brea, hit 7 threes, and he was their focus in the scout report. Make sure you don't leave him open, and then he was open all the time. Chris Harry put it really well in his story on Gatorsports.com. That when Florida cut it to 2, they had Kentucky with 3 seconds on the shot clock, and threw a pass in. Guy went to the corner, threw it right back to him, wide open 3. Kind of was a dagger. It was a big dagger, and there were a couple of them. But look, Kentucky at home. You're talking about a top 10 team. You lost by 6. I'm not worried about that. I'm only worried that they didn't play good defense. The offense was incredible, and they were able to answer. But there was only one lead change in that game, and I think that was a big part of it. If Florida could have taken a lead back after they had that early lead, 11-point lead early. But again, I'm watching that game. I'm like, that means nothing. 11 points and lead that early, and then right after that, Kentucky went on a 16-0 run, and that's what got them in the lead. And from there on, they never lost it. It got close, and Florida kept answering it. So I give them credit for that. I don't think you can take too much from it, except that this team still needs a signature win. They don't have it. Now, are they still good in the net and all that stuff? Yeah, they're still fine, and they're still in the tournament. But look, you got to win some of these games, and they're playing some tough teams. It's going to be interesting, starting with, of course, tomorrow night. Number 1, Tennessee comes to town. That's number 2 on our Royal Blue starting 5. Number 1, Tennessee comes to town. A lot of people will tell you that Auburn is actually the best team in the SEC. In fact, I had somebody tell me that there are people at Florida that are going, I don't know how you stop Auburn. And I agree. I don't know. I watched them play, and I'm like, they're ridiculous. But they come in. Florida's now down to 8th in the net. I shouldn't be looking at it anymore. It's just stopped totally because it drives me nuts. How you can lose on the road to a top 10 team by 6 and drop all that far, but 4 spots. But that's the way it works. In fact, Kentucky is now up to 8th, I think, or 9th, because they're not that high either. So we'll see. Look, Tennessee's going to be a tough game, man. That is a really good team. You watch them play, and I'll get to this in a moment, but I watched them play Saturday. In fact, Saturday was going to be a fun day for me. I said, look, 11 o'clock, they start playing basketball. Then there's NFL games on, 2 NFL games on, and this is going to be a great day. And I went and got a workout early. I said, I'm ready for it. Sat in there, and wasn't that good. It just wasn't that good. And I'll explain that in a minute. Anyway, Florida, Tennessee, and if the home teams keep doing what they've done the first week of the season, the Alligator fans will be happy. Okay. And that gets me to number 3 on our Royal Blues starting 5, and that is that in the SEC, it just means more points given up by you on the road, because almost everybody got hammered on the road. Vanderbilt is the only team that won its home or its road game, and they were playing LSU, which is still bad. I watched some of that game; they're still not good. Florida only lost by 6, which, if you look at these other scores, is pretty good. The other 6 teams in the league lost by 24, 16, 28, 20, 35, and 12. An average of 22.5 per game. Home court matters in basketball, I think, more than any other sport. I've always said that. Unless I didn't, then I'd say baseball does because you get to bat last, or football does because there's more people there. It matters. Home court matters in basketball, and that will be an interesting thing to follow as we go forward this year. But certainly the visitors did not fare well. I mean, only Florida and then Vanderbilt had a chance to win their games. The other games were just, you couldn't even watch them. They were unwatchable. But anyway, that's what happens. All right, let's get to number 4 in our Royal Blues starting 5. And that is, I saw a story today about the portal and where everybody ranks and how they did with their portal class. And the number 1 team, LSU. Not good news. Florida plays LSU. However, I will say this. They lost a lot of guys in recruiting. They got some too, but they did lose some guys in recruiting, and they had to fill it with a portal. I mean, look, LSU is going to be good. We know LSU is going to have great players. Here's the interesting thing to me, though. 7 of the 10 teams ranked as far as portal acquisitions are from the SEC. One of them is not Florida. Florida's kind of went heavy on their signees, and they've got a lot of guys coming back, and there's only so much money you can give out. There's only so many scholarships you can give out. I'm waiting to see. It's been really weird how quiet it's been over in Gainesville. I'm in Gainesville, over at UAA. Like, I know they've got to replace Austin Armstrong. I mean, there's been rumors that Ron Roberts could be in trouble because they haven't gotten along. There's been some tension in that room. I've heard the rumor that they're going to get rid of their one of their offensive coaches because they want Billy wants to hire a coordinator. And I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. Nobody's talking about anything. Hopefully, I'm hoping that in the next few weeks, and again, we're going to have a lot to talk about in the next few weeks, not only with Florida football, Florida basketball. We're not far from Coach is going to talk about, I'm sure, gymnastics, women's basketball, baseball's getting ready to start, football or softball's getting ready to start. It's just so much going on. So we got a lot of things to talk about. But 7 of the 10 teams, and again, it's the SEC. So that's what you should be able to do is get guys in the portal because you're going to have money, and B, it's the SEC. it still does mean something. Now, I know that people can lose their minds because only one team from the SEC's in the Final Four, but I mean, come on, man. Anybody think anymore? The problem with the SEC is they beat each other up so much during the season, and it costs, for example, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Alabama from even getting in the playoffs. Now, I'm not saying any of them deserve to be in the playoffs more than anybody else did, but those teams got hurt because there is enough good teams in the SEC. Anyway, I think I've said that a million times. All right, let's get to number 5 on our Royal Blue starting 5, which is the playoffs, which are coming up Thursday. This is going to be an unbelievable weekend, at least for a football nut like me, and basketball nut, actually. I can watch everything. That's why you have 3 TVs. You're going to have Thursday, Friday football, Saturday, Sunday football. Thursday, Friday, the college football playoffs, the Final Four. Saturday, Sunday, first round of the NFL playoffs. I just want to sit on my couch the whole time. But I will say this. I'm trying to figure out why I have not enjoyed these playoffs, these playoffs, and the system they've come up with. And I know some of the reasons, and some of the reasons the same reason you don't, is that, you know, the home teams won all the first round. The bye teams lost all the first round. Some of them shouldn't have been byes. I just don't think they've got a good system yet. And they're going to – I trust people to come up with a better one. I'm happy that they got to 12. Maybe they should have gone to 8 to start out. Take little baby steps. But no, it's all about the money, as we know. I just don't feel comfortable right now with this playoff system. I don't even get that excited about it, especially because you have a Thursday game and a Friday game. And I think that's part of it, is the games are all weekdays. I know we're in the holiday season. Not anymore. And I know the NFL gets in the way because the NFL is the king. But it hasn't done a whole lot for me. I just got to confess that. And I'm the king of college football. I don't want anybody to argue with me. I watch more college football than any human being in the world. And that includes the guys on the committee. I got 3 TVs, and I'm watching them all. And I'm watching Northwestern against Auburn, and stuff like that. I'm watching whatever's on, whatever I can find. If I can't find a third game, I'm mad. So I watch a lot of football. It just hadn't done it for me. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you have a different opinion, and you're welcome to email me, patrickdooley54@gmail.com, and tell me what you think of that. All right. That's going to do it for our Royal Blues starting 5. We'll come back with the HBC. You always love having him on the show. And, of course, Robbie Andrew as well will come up on Yes, Nowhere. Maybe you are listening or watching another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Tebow Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
At Royal Blue, we use such tools as AI, bulk email marketing, trade shows, Google search advertising, and multiple websites. We take a much more proactive approach to getting your boat sold in a timely manner. With our extensive client list and broker-dealer network, we can track down vessels that might be perfect for you and your family, that may not even be listed for sale yet. giving you the right of first refusal. We have spent the last 15 years in boat sales observing and listening to our clients. In response to our findings, we have constructed a custom yacht brokerage that strives to fit their needs and not ours. Call us today to schedule a consultation to see what Royal Blue can do to solve all of your boating needs. Call Randy at 850-974-1294. Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, and as always, brought to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Meldon Law, also the sponsor of Coach Spurrier's appearances, and it's always fun to talk to him. And I know you watched a lot of football this weekend, Coach, whether it was the pros or I even watched a Division III game for a while.
Did you?
Yeah.
I hadn't gone to
You haven't
that
gone
level
that
yet, but I think there's one on tonight.
There's one on tonight, yeah.
There's
there
a
is.
Division III championship game, so those are certainly worth watching. But what was exciting to me yesterday is I'm watching Tampa Bay. You know, I played 1 year with them, so I pull for those guys. And they needed to beat New Orleans.
Right.
And I'll be dang, New Orleans came in there ready to play.
Ready to go,
Had the lead into the third quarter late and so forth, but Tampa did come back and beat them. And Baker Mayfield had an excellent game. And that
Not a good start, but he
that
had a
receiver
good finish.
made some beautiful catch there to get them ahead. But anyway, at the same time, Atlanta was playing Carolina.
I was watching that game.
So if Atlanta wins and the Bucs lose, Atlanta wins the division and so forth. So it was back and forth, and
It was a great game.
Yeah,
Nobody played defense, but it was a great game.
yeah, they were both really good games.
Yeah.
And a lot of big plays here, there, and the other. Fortunately, the Bucs won, and Atlanta ended up losing, but it didn't matter there at the end.
Unfortunately, your 49ers are not going to be in the playoffs.
No,
they did not have a good year.
They had more injuries this year than they've
it's
had
unbelievable, yeah.
altogether. I know that's a lame excuse that a lot of them have, but it was a year of injuries for the 49ers. And I think they went 6-11, something like that.
Who saw that coming?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Kansas City held all their guys out.
Yeah.
So they got clobbered yesterday.
And look, that is such a tough deal because you don't want to get your guys hurt, and really you don't care if you win or not. You're already the 1 seed, but you're also affecting other teams by not playing your best players. So I don't know what the answer is to that, because you can't make guys play somebody, and then go out there and get them hurt, and then you lose them for the playoffs. So
Yeah, that's true. In the game last night with Detroit and Minnesota, both teams 14-2 going into it. Who would ever thought that would have happened? I think it's the first time in NFL history two teams played the last game of the season with 14 wins. That's almost impossible. But anyway, Detroit outplayed them, won the game convincingly. But Minnesota, when the playoffs start, they got as good a chance as almost anybody, I think.
I think somebody said that there's never been a 14-win team that's going to be a 5 seed. And that's
5 seed.
Yeah, it's crazy. But that's the thing, and that's the thing I like about the playoffs. I kind of know what's going on with the NFL playoffs. I'm still confused about the college playoffs, but they've got to figure out the bye situation. You shouldn't have Boise having a bye in that situation.
And another thing about the NFL that I like is I think there was 4 teams that finished 2-15, something like that.
3-14.
3-14. And then a bunch of teams 4-13, I guess, whatever. But anyway, all right, what are they going to do, flip a coin? No. The team that, say 4 of them's got the worst record, the one that played the easier schedule, they get the first pick. So at least there's a format instead of committee saying, I've watched all of them play. Let's give the first pick to New England, or let's give the first pick to this team. So they have a format on how to do it.
Yeah.
And you'd think college football, that committee somehow, let's put it in simple terms if we can. I don't know if they can or not, because so many teams don't play against the other teams and so forth.
Well, I think that's part of the problem that they don't have in the NFL, that pretty much your schedule is dictated by how bad you are or how good you are.
Yeah.
And so, I do like the NFL for doing that. But again, I don't know that you can do that unless you get this super conference together and start doing it that way. But what do you think of Nick Saban's idea that the guys on the committee need to be on the sidelines for some games? they need to watch them. They need to see what teams look imposing versus what teams are just lucky to be there. Sometimes you need to see it physically.
Well, that's true. That's true too. But I don't have the real answer unless there's a particular format that you put everybody in and go from there.
I'd go to 16 after this next year.
Yeah.
And say, okay, and then, but the trouble is everybody's going to say, well, what's next? 32, 48, it's going to keep adding.
Well, 16, the same amount of time as they got now. It's just, I guess, 4 more teams. And then you could seed them like they do in basketball.
Yeah.
Number 1 plays number 16, 2 plays 15, and down the line there, 8 and 9 play each other. So that would be a good format, I think.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean we're going to get better games, but you never know what you're going to get. I mean, that's part of it, but I think the fact that all the teams with byes lost tells you a lot.
Yep.
In the college football playoff, and all the teams that were at home won in their first round. So that says a lot about where we are in this, and they got to figure out how to do it a little bit better, but we'll see what happens. I did want to talk a little bit about the NFL and some of these teams that are the Chiefs are an amazing story. I mean, just all year they look like they're going to lose every game and they keep winning them all. And I'm kind of a Chiefs fan. I love Mahomes. I love Andy Reid. I think Andy Reid's one of the best coaches that's ever coached the game. Offensive coaches, I will put it that way.
He is, yeah. Well, Spagnuolo is very good too, the defensive coordinator. Some of the TV broadcasters were saying they think Spagnuolo needs to get another shot as being a head coach.
Where was he a head coach? I'm trying to remember.
He had a quick fling somewhere, several years ago. But they'll interesting. Some of those teams that have not done very well the last 2 or 3 years. I think most of the owners they're sort of tired of firing their coaches every 2 or 3 years, so they give them another year to see if they can turn it around. But I think
they didn't do that for Jared Mayo up.
Mayo didn't get much
I couldn't
time.
believe that because Brandon Spikes was going to go with him up there, and then he went to Florida and said, "Hey, I'm going to go unless you guys have." And they found him a job because they wanted to keep him around here. But that's amazing that he only lasted 1 year with a bad team, bad quarterback play, and I mean they got to get better in a lot of ways. Yeah,
that's for sure. Then Jacksonville opened up, so it'd be interesting to see what happens over there.
I wasn't surprised because he lost 17 of the last 22 games he coached, but the complaint up there is that the Balky guy, Trent Balky, their GM, isn't getting the players in there. And when you watch them play, you can tell that they don't have good enough players. That's the bottom line. I mean, obviously Trevor Lawrence could be really good if he stays healthy, but
they're talking about Trevor should be one of the best players in the NFL, but he hasn't done that yet. But he's getting paid like one of the best.
He is.
So that always, I think, creates problems on teams if the quarterback. Dallas, same way. Dallas there, their quarterback got the big money, and they didn't.
Cooper Rush though did not start this last game.
I
you know why?
I read that.
Oh my gosh! They started Trey Lance so he wouldn't get his $250,000 bonus.
That doesn't. Jerry Jones said he didn't know about it.
Oh yeah,
that's what he said.
Who's the general manager of that team? Jerry Jones.
Jerry, he pretty much runs it. So I don't know. 250 is not much, but it's nice to see Evans, Tampa Bay tight end. Yeah. To get that bonus and tie the record of 11 straight seasons of 1,000-yard receptions.
Did he get? Was his bonus $1 million? I think they said it was $1 million on TV.
Total, it was $3 million. Yeah,
wow.
Total catches plus this and something else.
God, you think he had an NIL deal? I mean, I see some of these NIL deals that are coming, and this is what I've been told is that because this settlement is coming, everybody is pushing all their money in the front of the table, and they're spending like the kid from Tulane that didn't play against Florida got $4 million a year for 2 years to go to Duke. To Duke, not to Georgia or Ohio State, to Duke. They're paying $4 million for a quarterback.
Yeah, Duke's got some big spenders. They do. And well, if you want to play, you got to get your big, wealthy booster guys actively involved, and that's happening all over the country in football.
And it'll be interesting to see where it goes from here because we have no idea. We did get to watch a little golf this weekend too. Finally,
Yeah.
Obviously, Matsuyama was just
Matsuyama,
ridiculous.
35 under. That's an average of almost 9 under a day. 4 nines are 36, and he was 35 under.
I'm not
That's
sure I
world
can shoot
record.
9 over a day.
I'd be happy to shoot 9 over a day. But that was a good start for golf. Those guys were birdieing about every other hole, that's for sure, and so forth. But anyway, let's get to basketball a little
Yeah,
bit. Tennessee
yeah.
comes in here.
Yep.
Is it tomorrow
Tuesday.
night?
Tomorrow night.
Tuesday
Yep.
night. Yeah.
7 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get to that one.
Yeah.
They're number 1 in the nation, and we were number 6. I don't know where we'll be the next. Probably still in the top 10
Yeah, I would think so. You lost by 6 on the
at
road.
Kentucky. Yeah, that's not bad. So it's pretty good, hard to go undefeated in basketball
It is.
with as many games as they play.
It is. It's
Yep.
pretty amazing to think about that team in 14 that went undefeated in the SEC with no NBA players on it. Nobody played in the NBA, but they just played as a team.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about, is playing as a team. And sometimes I watch there's teams all over the place that you watch them and you go, some are built on talent, some are built on camaraderie and the kinship that they have. Like Arizona State's a good example of that, you know.
That's true.
But it's such a weird world we live in right now where you don't know what's going to happen with the portal, with NIL, the NFL. Guys are leaving. Tyreek Hill now says he wants out of Miami, and it's just you root for the laundry, right? You root for the color of your jersey. That's all you can do because you can't control all this other stuff.
But of all the NIL and transfer portals, stadiums are getting sold out.
Yep.
TV ratings are sky high. So whatever we're doing, the interest is the best it's ever been.
Well, that's a funny thing is everybody's trying to like pile on Greg Sankey. You and I were talking about it off the air. They're trying to pile on him like I guess he's got cut down to earth because, there's only one team from the SEC and it's a team they just acquired. Well, they did acquire that team. And they still count as an SEC team, sorry. But also, some things happen. Georgia didn't have a quarterback. I think Georgia still was probably that was my pick to win it once the playoffs started. But without a quarterback, they had no chance. And certainly Tennessee ran into a buzzsaw, but I don't think Tennessee was the third best team in the league, to be honest with you. I think they were Ole Miss was the third best team, and Florida screwed it up for them, didn't they?
Yeah, we needed all those wins, LSU and Ole Miss, and then FSU. They're starting their comeback, I guess, during recruiting season. But it's a different game. Then remember when recruiting season, everybody looked at all the rankings, and that was the indicator on how you're going to do.
Yep.
Nick Saban didn't win all those championships because they were number 8 or 10 in
Yeah.
recruiting.
They
They were number
never
1.
rated. They were 1 or 2. They were 2 a couple of times.
They were 1. Somebody said 14 out of 17, and 2 the other 2 times, and maybe 3 the other. Never worse than 3 or 4.
And that's still subjective rankings, but it's still they knew if you get enough 5 stars, you're going to have the best team.
Danny Warford's class, we were number 1.
Yeah.
I had 2 number 1s then in 99.
The Brock Berlin class.
99.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, but the 90,
So it was Werfel.
92 class.
Who was the other star of that class that?
Well, most of
according
those
to the
offensive
recruiting
linemen all came in. Donnie Young and Jason Odom and those guys.
Reggie Green.
Yeah, Reggie. Yeah, Reggie played as a true freshman. So, and then a lot of defensive players also came with that class. Sure.
Yeah. Well, that was a great class. And then that the 99 class, they were so many great players on the team. And everybody focuses on Brock Berlin because he was, the big 5-star guy. But I remember sitting in the stands watching a scrimmage one day. And this is back when we could go watch scrimmages. I know you can't conceive of that we could watch Florida scrimmage in football in the stadium. And I wrote a column after Rex and Brock Berlin went toe-to-toe, and I said, Steve, You know what the answer is. It's Rex Gross. You got to go with him. And
Yeah, Rex was.
I think 2 days later you named him as a starter. Not because of me, but because you.
Oh,
you
Rex
could see
was.
that too,
Rex was one of the most beautiful passers I think we've ever had here. Decision making, of course, Danny Warfel and Shane were the best at that, probably. But as far as just pure thrower, Rex was probably as good as anybody at that.
Yeah, I've told people I would put Rex one because Rex was so accurate and had a good arm, and then I'd probably put John. If you was talking about throwers, I put John Bob number 2. And,
Yeah, John was a good
John
passer.
Reeves, and you saw him
team.
obviously in the with the Bandits.
Yeah.
Had him with the Bandits, and he could sling it. And then I probably put Doug Johnson 3 as far as the arm
Doug.
strength.
Yeah, Doug was an excellent passer. Also, all of them were. But hopefully the team this year is ready to challenge for the SEC.
Already starting to work.
We don't have to challenge for the Eastern Division anymore.
No, you
Because
don't.
they don't have one.
That's a goal that you can't even have anymore.
Yeah. So now it comes down. It does come down to what your schedule is within the SEC and outside the SEC.
And Florida's got the same schedule next year, except they got to play all those teams on the road they played at home.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We go to Miami.
Yep. Got to go to Miami. Got to go to LSU. So it's gonna be rough. But I mean, hey, if you're not good enough, don't come in this conference. Go somewhere else. All right, we got to get to our Campus USA play of the weekend, and this involved a former Gator, not a current Gator, but a former Gator who I loved when he was here, Damian Pierce. For some reason, Dan Mullen wouldn't give him the football when he was here. But that is a 92-yard run, and I was so happy for him. I think he's a really good player and he had a great rookie year, and now he's starting to play again well this year. He's been healthy, but 92 is a pretty good ways to go. Now, I was going to ask you about this because it was a different play and a different time, but you had a good view of Larry Smith's 94-yard run,
94-yard run. Yeah, I sort of jogged in behind him to congratulate him.
So he told me that his pants were falling down. His hip pads kept coming up.
His hip pads were coming up.
Yeah.
It looked like his pants were going down because you could see his hip pads.
Yeah.
I tell you, nobody wears hip pads or knee pads now. It's like wearing shorts.
These guys look like they're wearing jorts.
I don't think you even have to wear thigh pads if you don't want to.
And you don't have to wear a mouthpiece. Remember back in your day? Well, not in your when you were coaching. You had to in college. You had to wear a mouthpiece.
I'd take you out of the game.
They take you out of the game. Now I see guys they're flying all around with mouthpieces. I don't know what they're trying to do in college football, but hey,
Yeah.
But you didn't have to wear. That was the weird thing. I Noah told me this one time. He goes, you have to wear a mouthpiece in college, but you don't have to wear it in the NFL. I'm like, well, it's harder in the NFL. Guys are going to hit you harder. Why wouldn't you have to wear it in the NFL?
I tell you what, I've noticed some of the guys will wear that concussion proof helmet. I tell you what, if I was a lineman, I'd wear that thing too. Why not?
I don't know why anybody wouldn't want it. It's not going to slow you down.
No, it's just a little cushion over the helmet. But
I think you may see a
little bit more
point
in the
where
future.
more guys are doing that.
Yeah.
All right, Coach. You got
about
anything else? I mean, obviously basketball Tuesday night. You're going to be there. You're going to try to be there.
Yeah. Gymnastics, I think. Maybe
they're coming up
this weekend.
Yeah, I saw there was a gymnastics meet on TV last night from it's like Michigan and Purdue or something. But I don't know why I was watching it.
That's a popular sport around the country, and they're coming into play. I think Coach Jen Rowland's got a really good team ready to go.
Really good. Yeah.
And I like the way she coaches her team. It's SEC and national champs. That's they don't talk about finishing in the top 25 or anything. They shoot for the top. And I know LSU's got another good team.
They do.
Also. So it's not going to be easy, but if you win the championship, certainly it's all worth it.
Women's basketball got a win yesterday, too. Beat Georgia. Anytime you beat Georgia in anything, it's good. That's the way I feel.
Even women's basketball?
Even women's basketball.
Now, Georgia women's basketball is never
They're not very good.
Yeah, if we beat Tennessee women, that'd be more. All right. But, it was a good game yesterday. We got ahead early and held on. Very comfortable win.
That's the thing that's interesting about them. They get a lot of leads, and they have a hard time holding them sometimes. I'm like trying to figure out if they're as good as they play when they're playing well or as bad as they play when they're playing bad. It's hard to figure this team, but I mean, they've got a lot of talent. Even Shaq's daughter made a big basket, and won yesterday. So I was watching it. So all right, we're gonna let Coach go. We'll be back with more of another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging from the Meldon Law Gator Studios here at the Steve Spurrier Gridiron Grill.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't: our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured,
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
and our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great. Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Always a pleasure on Mondays to bring in our good friend Robbie Andrew on the Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line. Robert, how are you?
Hey, Patrick. Good. How are you?
Are you recovering from your loss last night?
Yeah, but I had braced myself for it, Pat. They're just a better team. That's all.
And they're at home. Let's not forget that.
Which made a big difference. And the Vikings in the red zone were awful.
Yeah, I think that Sam Darnold. I saw them talking about it today. That Sam Darnold got rattled because he got hit so much. He got hit 14 times in the game, and that maybe that had an effect on him. But he missed guys that he usually doesn't miss. So
yeah, they said he had 8 overthrows in the first half alone. So that wasn't like him. He kind of reverted back to form, unfortunately.
He was old Sam.
Yeah.
He was Jet Sam.
Yeah. Not so good Sam.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's play Yes, No, Where, or Maybe with Robbie Andrew as we do every Monday. It's brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteaks, street dining done the right way. They will serve you up a great meal. And if you mention the podcast, you will get free fries with your order. Keith Miller, talked to him the other day. What a great dude he is. Really appreciate him. Let's get right to it, Robbie. Yes, No, Where, Maybe. You are okay, number one. You're okay with the Vikings being a favorite, 2.5 points over the Rams at Los Angeles.
No, I'm going to go no way on that one, Pat. I mean, one of the Vikings' losses was at L.A. earlier this year. And
it was.
You listen to people talk nationally. Nobody wants to play the Rams right now. They've gotten healthy. They're playing really good. They're good on defense. They've got a good offensive line. So, no, I don't like that at all.
It's funny because I don't pay that much attention to the NFL. I have certain teams I watch. I like the Chiefs. I watched Bucks and Jaguars game, negative root. I kind of like the Dolphins. And then I watched that Falcons game the other day. I had no idea the Rams were going to get in the playoffs. I had no clue. I just don't pay any attention to them. I didn't know that they were even going to get in, and now they're in, and then they get to host.
Yeah, and they're peaking at the right time, Pat.
Right.
Unfortunately, I mean the Vikings go from a potential 1 seed to playing them on the road. That's not going to be good.
I have confidence.
Not going to be good at all.
I think good Sam shows up in this game.
Well, I hope so. If
All
not,
right, death becomes her. All right. Secondly, Robbie Andrew. Yes, No, Where, Maybe. You want Texas to win the whole thing.
I'm going to have to say a maybe on that, Pat. I don't really like any team in the the Final Four right now, to be honest with you. But I guess SEC loyalty would go for Texas. I know that.
Yeah, I don't feel that SEC loyalty though, because
No, they haven't been in there long enough. But
yeah.
I think one thing you want to kind of avoid the Big Ten final, which would be, kind of an in-your-face type of thing for the Big Ten. So, but yeah, I'm kind of a maybe on that one with Texas. I don't know. They're a team that's hard to pull for.
They are, but are you going to root for Notre Dame? You grew up your whole life rooting against Notre Dame, didn't you?
I know. Yeah, it's hard to root against Notre Dame.
Are you going to root for them? Penn State and James Franklin, who hates the media and covers up.
No, I'm going to vote. I'm going to pull for Notre Dame against Penn State. I think, Pat.
I am too. I think that's where I'm going. And then obviously the other game, I don't give them a great chance, but I mean, I think everybody's like taking those 2 Ohio State games they played in the playoffs too seriously. They still got it. Hey, look, let's just go play the game. It's going to be in the Cotton Bowl. I think they got a chance.
Yeah, and don't forget what happened like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Pat, they lost at home to Michigan because Michigan had a great defensive effort. So that possibility's out there. If somebody plays a great defensive game, they could go down.
That's the amazing thing. Think about where Texas was like 4 years ago. I think they were 5-7. And they had been through so many coaches, and our friend Charlie Strong, one of them. And Charlie never should have taken that job. Tom Herman, who seemed like a natural fit there, didn't work out at all. And now Sarkisian has them. And I think that the marriage was perfect. A good offensive mind and the NIL together. That's what they've done.
Yeah, it's definitely worked out well for them, Pat, no question.
Yeah. All right, number 3 on Yes, Nowhere, maybe with Robbie Andrew. You are in favor of a Mayo-free New England Patriots.
Pat, as you know, I'm in favor of anything and everything Mayo-free. And the minute when you said that, all I could think about was I almost turned the TV off the other night watching the frickin' Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl. I mean, at one point, they're eating a frickin' mayonnaise and banana sandwich. I mean, come on! And dipping chocolate bars in mayo. That's
I've had a mayo and peanut butter sandwich. I'll tell you.
Gross. And then when they dumped the mayo on the coach, the Minnesota coach, it was one of the grossest things I've ever seen in my life.
You don't get the mayonnaise, the tanginess of the mayonnaise. You don't get it.
I hate it. I hated it. And I almost turned the game off.
I know why you hate it.
But back to the no mayo in New England. That is on management and the ownership that they would fire after 1 year. That's their fault. They made a bad hire.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's got. I mean, Mr. Kraft as who was calling him Mr. Kraft the other day. Now I'm blanking out on it. But anyway, it was on today. Somebody was calling him Mr. Kraft. Anyway, he's going to have to go do some interviews and get the right coach in there because it obviously didn't work. But all I could think about when that happened was Brandon Spikes was going to go there. He was going to go with it. Mayo wanted to bring him up there to coach linebackers.
He did?
Yep.
That's too bad.
He kind of went to the Florida people and said, hey, I've got this opportunity. And then they gave him a job with Gator made because they want to keep him around, which I agree with 100%. Don't get me wrong.
Too.
And just think if he had gone up there, he'd be out of a job now. He'd be looking for a new job. So
yeah, that would have been rough. But, the whole thing, the Mayo hire, that was a questionable hire when it happened a year ago. So it's no shock.
I didn't get it. Yeah, I didn't get
either.
it. And now they've got to live with that. But mayonnaise.
No mayo.
No mayo. Okay, Robbie, we'll let you go. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Okay, Pat. Thanks. Talk to you soon.
All right, we always love Robbie being on the show. Does a great job as always. We appreciate him. It's time for our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Hesser and Kipke can be reached at 352-339-9920. You should know the number by now, 352-339-9920 for your needs in family law and workers' compensation. So make sure you give them a call. They are great sponsors of this podcast and other things as well. The 3 things for Hesser and Kipke. Let's get to them. Number 1, really sad what happened with Kirby Smart's dad. If you didn't hear, I'm sure most of you did, but he had a fall in New Orleans on New Year's Eve. Certainly, luckily, he wasn't out at 4 a.m. because of all the things that happened there. I didn't want to get into that, but it's just sad what happened in New Orleans and in everywhere. We're dealing with a lot right now. But anyway, Sonny Smart had a fell and hurt his hip, and he fractured it. So they took him in and did surgery on him, and he passed away during the surgery. And I mean, this is not. It has happened before. In fact, I remember Dick Schaap, same thing. I think he had a hip. He was getting a hip replacement surgery and passed away. Usually it's some kind of anesthesia issue or something, but I don't know. I'm not in any place. I just feel bad for Kirby Smart. I don't say that very often. I don't like the guy. I admire him as a coach. He made a huge mistake in that game, going for that late first half pass, but and he's made mistakes before. But what he's done is irrelevant, actually, to him losing his dad, and I feel terrible for it. It's no matter how much you don't like somebody, when they lose a parent, it's the worst. You know, you just don't. I feel for him, so I just wanted to send my prayers out to Kirby and his family for Sonny Smart's passing. But I mean, you're there and they're getting ready to play in the playoff. He's probably the best mood he's ever been in. Well, not ever, because he's won a couple national championships. And then you fall, and he's not the first person that's fallen in New Orleans, okay, on Bourbon Street. But it's certainly sad. All right, let's get to number 2 and get off the negative. Oh, this is kind of a positive. But is it a negative? I don't know. If you didn't know, Jaden Rashada is back in the transfer portal. Our favorite quarterback, who, of course, went to sign with Florida. We all know the story. Got promised all his money. Sued Florida. Florida sued him back. I don't even know where that is anymore. And then, of course, goes to Arizona State, where his dad played. Doesn't get much NIL. Plays, I think he started 2 games there, but only played in 3. He wasn't very good. And then goes to Georgia, which I never could understand why Georgia wanted him. Just maybe to stick it to Florida. Hey, we got ETN and Rashada. How about that? Didn't play at all for them. That was going to be curious to me if Gunnar Stockton got hurt, if Rashada was going to come in. But anyway, he's back in the portal. Who knows where he's going to end up? Who cares where he's going to end up? But it's just one of those stories, but we see it every day. Guy goes somewhere, not working, not winning the job, out. And I would think if Rashada was smart, and so far he's not proven to be smart all the time, sometimes he has been, he would go somewhere like, like a group of 5 school, like a Cincinnati, like Emory Jones did, somewhere like that, and see what it could do for you. And good luck to him. I mean, I know that I make fun of him a little bit, but it's not his fault for a lot of the stuff that happens. So let's just leave it at that. All right, let's get to number 3 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things, and that is, guess who's got the first pick in the draft? The Tennessee Titans. The Patriots had it, but then they won, so now the Titans have it. Do you really have a guy, though, that is the clear number 1 pick? I mean, they need quarterback. That Will Levis draft pick was the dumbest pick I've ever seen in my life. I swear to God. I when they happened, I went, "What are you doing? Do you have guys? Do you have cable?" But would you pick Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders? I don't know. I don't know if I'd go for one of those quarterbacks. I might. Like, I love what Cam Ward's done, and Cam Ward's losses were not because of him; they were because of his lack of defense. But anyway, whatever they decide, they've got the number 1 pick, and it'll be interesting to see if they hold on to it and what they do with it. Whether they go for, I mean, I don't know who the best player in the country is, who I would go get. Like, it was funny. I was watching this morning, and they do these Sunday shout-outs on one of these channels. Get Up or Get Back or First Take or Stop Watching, whatever it is. I mean, I watch those shows because I'm just interested. And these guys were talking about their shout-outs, and all 4 of their shout-outs were guys who played in the SEC last year. That's how hard this league is. It was Bowers, and Brock Bowers had an unbelievable year for a bad team. It was Malik Neighbors. I'm trying to remember who the other 2 were. Anyway, they were both from the SEC. Oh, it was Derek Barnett, who played for Tennessee, and another guy, and I blanked out on. Anyway, tough in the SEC. It's not for everybody. All right. Let's move to our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week. Adams Rib Company, the place to go if you want ribs or if you want anything barbecue or coleslaw. Oh, it's the best. Potato salad, unbelievable. One day I was eating potato salad at a function I was at, and somebody came up to me and they said, "Is that banana pudding?" And I went, "No, it's potato salad. I love potato salad that much that I will just get it as a dessert." That's how good it is. And theirs is the best. And that's where it was from, actually, that day. All right, our Adams Ribco Gator of the weekend is, I'm going to make a Walter Clayton. 33 points. He did everything he could. Nobody played defense. We know that. It was very reminiscent of the last game he played last year against Colorado, where he lit it up, and Florida couldn't play defense, so they lost that game. What was it, 102-100? This was 106-100. Very similar games. I hope it's not a harbinger of things to come. I do know this, so Walter Clayton is playing his butt off, and I wanted to make sure he was properly recognized as our Adams Ribco Gator of the weekend. Let's move to our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. And I know I said I was going to pull them on Thursday, but I'm not. I'm going to pull them on Monday. And here's why. I want you guys to be able to get involved in the playoff games Thursday and Friday. So you got to pick, and you got to get them both right to qualify. And we've got a lot of qualifiers because a lot of people took Florida and the 8 points that I gave them, which the spread dropped all the way down to like 4.5, but I gave you 8 on Monday or on Thursday. Yeah. And they lost by 6. So a lot of you who picked Florida got in or qualified. Anyway, and Drew, I will be sending your prize out because Drew Berry won the last prize. So here are the games. You know what they are. Notre Dame, Penn State. That's the Orange Bowl. Notre Dame favored by 1.5. So it's basically a pick 'em. And then Ohio State's 6-point favorite against Texas in the Cotton Bowl. Look, I don't know who I would pick. I would probably go with Penn State, and I think Texas is going to win that game. I don't know why. There's a feeling I have. I think Ohio State has played 2 great games, and maybe they're peaking at the right time, or maybe they peaked and they're done. Who knows? We'll see what happens, but that's our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. Thanks to Kyle Cohen for being a great guy and being a great sponsor and being a great friend. Kyle's the best. Go see him at Leonardo's. And I do need to go see him because I'm down to one, I think, Leonardo's gift certificate. So I've got to, after I mail these other 2 out. So I got to go hook up with him. All right. Let's move along to our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the weekend. Gallo Car Wash, the only place to go get your car. Coming soon to Tioga. They do a great job cleaning your car. And our sponge of the week is Florida swimming team. And here's why. They had their senior day the other day. And nobody cares about Florida swimming senior day except people who care about Florida swimming. These guys have won how many? 4 SEC championships, or guys and girls. All these All-Americans, national championships. They're the ones who should be walking on that field, and they will, I'm sure, if they haven't yet. But I wanted to give it to the Florida seniors for our sponge of the week because they're obviously having to soak up a lot of water, but they do a great job, and it's underrated, probably the most underrated team program on this campus because nobody wants to go to swimming. And here's why. Do you even know how you would go to the swim meet? You would have to just find your way around. And, swimming tends to be a little slow. And, people they don't pack the place. But those guys work as hard as anybody, if not harder. And we all know in Olympic year, people get a little more excited now the Olympics are over. So I want to make sure they get honored for those seniors to be their senior day. It was I saw all the pictures and all the things. It was really cool. All right, let's move along to our Florida Surf Club Cool Dude of the weekend. And we appreciate the Florida Surf Club for being a sponsor as well. Our Cool Dude of the weekend was Bryce Young. Now, remember when everybody was saying Bryce Young, sucks. Why would they draft him? Everybody knew he was too small to play. Well, he's got to finally figure some things out in the NFL, and guess what? He was really good yesterday. And the Falcons wouldn't have gotten in anyway, but they didn't know that. And he was just incredible. I thought he was – what was the final? Was it 40 –
38 in overtime. So
yeah. 44-38. It was a fun game to watch. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. But Bryce Young is our Florida Swim Club cool dude of the weekend. He was cool. And laughing, like he threw one touchdown pass, and as soon as he threw it, he just walked away. He pulled a Mahomes. Just walked away. He goes, I know it's a touchdown. So he was very cool doing that. All right, let's move along to our Hugh, Cain, Allstate Mayhem moment. The Gator Nation is in good hands with local Allstate agent Hugh Cain. Stop by Alachua Marketplace Plaza in Alachua and get a free quote today. Okay, I don't know if you saw this game. This was a kickoff. It went a little awry and banged into the head of this poor Dallas cheerleader. And I don't know if you guys – oh, that guy did deflect it a little bit. The cameraman did try to get it away from her, but, man, it smacked her pretty good, but she's okay. Anyway, it was definitely a mayhem moment. Cheerleaders should not get hit, and they should be paying attention to where the ball's coming to. But that was I'm not laughing at her. I'm laughing with her because she was laughing too. And I don't know if you guys watched the Dallas Cheerleaders reality show. I have not, but my wife has watched it, so she probably knows who that woman is, actually, or girl, or woman, whatever way. All right, let us move along to the Christine and Steve Wendig. That was a Hugh Cain Allstate Mayhem moment, by the way. Christine and Steve Wendig present the 12. We always have a different 12. This week, it is my opinion on what the 12 best teams going to the playoffs are. Okay, there's 14 in. I'm only giving you 12. And I'm staying with Kansas City, number one. I'm sorry. They've won the last two Super Bowls. They lost one game that mattered this year. I'm staying with them. I know they don't look good all the time, but they win. They find ways to win. Bills second. Lions third. I'm scared of the Lions, though. I will say this. If it gets to be a Super Bowl, and it's Chiefs-Lions. Ravens fourth. Vikings fifth. I still think the Vikings are a really good team. They won a lot of games. They'll be fine. The Broncos sixth. I think the Broncos are going to be a surprise in the playoffs maybe. Commanders seventh. Chargers eighth. Again, didn't know the Chargers were in the playoffs till they flashed it up there. 9 is the Eagles. And I got them low, and I know everybody's going to have them higher. And Ken Hesser is going to be mad at me because I'm picking I think I picked against Penn State, and I'm picking the Eagles' 9th best chance to win the championship. I just think for some reason, all the drama of this year is finally they're going to see it in the playoffs. I don't know why I feel that way. Bucks 10. I don't think the Bucks are going anywhere. 11, Green Bay. I'm worried about, obviously, Love's injury. And then 12, the Texans. I don't have the Rams in there. And the Rams could easily win the opening game. And then because they have the Vikings and they're at home. Who knows? I mean, they're playing better than I thought. They snuck up on me a little bit. But a lot of NFL teams did. I've paid so much attention to college football that I watch NFL games and I kind of go, yeah, okay. Anyway, now I'm excited. I am excited. I'm trying to get excited for the football playoffs. 4 teams I don't really care about, but I really want to find rooting. And maybe I'll break my cycle and bet. I don't want to do that. I don't have the kind of still don't have the money to bet. All right. Let's finally wrap it up with our Swamp Restaurant games of the weekend. Of course, Swamp Restaurant's where you need to go and have some great food. We appreciate them so much for being a sponsor of everything I pretty much have done. And they do a good job. And food's unbelievable there. And the cocktails are great. And it is the Swamp, man. It is the Swamp. All right. First of all, the Thursday game, I wanted to give you that one. The Notre Dame-Penn State game is at 7:30 on ESPN. That's at Orange Bowl, of course. Now, Tuesday, Florida, Tennessee is at 7 o'clock on ESPN2, if you're looking for that game. The women play Kentucky Thursday at 5. I don't know if that game's on television or not. Also, Wednesday, basketball, good games to watch. Ole Miss at Arkansas, 7 o'clock on ESPN2. Texas at Oklahoma at 9 on SEC Network. But all 4 of those teams are ranked. And this is going to be the interesting thing as we go forward with this basketball season, is everybody gets ranked, and then you're playing ranked teams and go, well, their record against ranked teams, but then they lose and they fall out of the rankings. Now, are they still ranked teams? You beat them when they were ranked. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to that. But there's plenty of stuff to watch this week, and then this weekend's going to be unfreaking believable. That's all I can say. I'm looking forward to it. I think may require my $100 chili. I don't know. Karen made really good chili this past weekend, and we noshed on that all weekend. But I may have to bring out my $100 chili. May have to happen. That includes the cashews. They're expensive because I got to get a lot of them in there. All right, that's going to do it for our show. Thanks so much to Coach Spurrier. Thanks so much to Robbie for coming on. Thanks so much to all of our great sponsors. Thanks so much always to Zach, who does an amazing job putting this together. We'll be back with another show Thursday. I know you're going to look forward to it. Larry Kennedy's going to join us, one of the great Gator defensive backs of all time. And I'm going to ask him if the Tennessee game was the loudest he ever heard it. I think it was. All right, let's get out of here. Why don't we do that? Zach, you ready? All right, I am Pat Dooley. I am deep. I am way back, and I am out of here.